It's time for Ask the Expert, your chance to learn something new every day. Let's find out who our expert is today.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Ask the Expert. Barry Funkhauser here, and I'm with Bill Camarillo from Agromin.
Hi Barry.
What's that smell?
What is that smell? That's the smell of money.
That is. We're describe to the people where we are right now. We are in the soil, not the dirt. We're in the soil.
That's right. So the dirt is what you sweep up in your kitchen. Agromin produces soil products out of organic waste streams that are collected residentially in the communities we live in, surrounding us in Camarillo and Oxnard and Ventura and pretty much every city in Ventura County. So we take your green cart and we take all that yard waste that you get delivered to us by the hauling companies, and we clean it and we grind it and then we compost it, which is Mother Nature's way of cleaning up a finished organic material. It's a biodegradable process. Once we get through that process in about 45 days, we now have a ready-to-make product that's alive with biology and fungi and pathogen-free and pest-free and weed seed-free, and it's registered organic to feed the soil. So all soils in California are very alkaline, very low in organic matter. So it's always really important to re-amend your soils every year to give them back some nutrients and life.
Now, usually one would go to the store, pick up a bag of soil.
Sure.
They don't know very much about what's in the soil. They're just going by probably brand name or whatever is necessary. But tell us about SB 1383, which is something I don't know everyone knows about. It's about composting and where. Tell us about it.
So SB 1383 is not a recycling bill. It's a short-lived climate pollutant bill that requires all waste companies in California and jurisdictions to divert organic waste away from the landfills. Why don't we want organic waste in the landfills? Because in a landfill, when they cover it up and they compact it with dirt, in a zero oxygen setting, it creates methane gas. And methane gas is 80 times more potent than CO2 in the atmosphere. And CO2 in the atmosphere creates a greenhouse effect, keeping the heat in and creating global warming. And so by diverting that waste under SB 1383, we have to compost it, or we have to use it in an anaerobic digester to create renewable natural gas that can be used to create electricity, but it can't go to the landfill.
Anaerobic digester.
Yes.
That's a big phrase. What is that?
So it's a vessel that acts like a cow's stomach that takes the organic waste in a zero oxygen chamber with biology and creates methane. And then you're able to capture that methane like natural gas, but it's organic, and you can use it to run a vehicle like a compressed natural gas bus, or you can use it to create electricity or heat. It's better than pulling fossil fuels out of the ground. But most people compost that waste, whether it's, the green waste, the food waste, the ag waste, the wood waste, all of it gets combined, and we're able to compost it like Mother Nature in a very expeditious manner. So we basically speed up Mother Nature's process, do it in 45 days instead of 5 years. If it was left to its own forestry, it takes about 5 years for things to break down.
So there's a lot of science involved, a lot of chemistry involved, but it all starts with your green bin.
It does.
So is it just the neighborhood's green waste, or how wide does this go?
Oh, it's the entire state. So Agromin today, I've been doing this for 35 years. We are now the largest composter in California. We work in 15 counties out of the 58 in California. We serve over 200 cities in California, and they all have organics recovery programs because it's mandated by the state. So we're composting all over the state over 1.2 million tons of organic waste that come from residential carts. So now today you can put food waste in your cart. We ask that you put your food waste in a bag in your yard waste cart so we can pull the food out and process it separately. The food today has a much higher value than just green waste. We can turn food waste into animal feed, organic fertilizers, renewable natural gas, and then ultimately compost if we don't have a home for the other products.
We're speaking with Bill Camarillo today from Agromin, and if you have a question for today's expert, you can call or text 833-346-4626. That's 833-346-4626. Or Bill, where do they go for more information about programs?
So you can go to every jurisdiction, every city you live in has a recycling portion of their website, and you can go there to find out more about how your blue cart is managed with your aluminum cans and your bottles and your cardboard. And then you can also see how your programs work for the organic waste stream, which is the green cart typically. And in Ventura County, there's still brown carts, but mostly it's going to green for all your yard waste and your food waste. And it'll tell you what's happening to your local products. And like I said, the majority of them, 99%, 95% of it is being composted, turned into this lush, brown, dark, rich material that we need help getting it back into the soil. And if you put it back into the soil, you'll use less water, you'll use less chemicals, and your plants will be healthier and happier. So it basically boils down to healthy soils, healthy plants, healthy animals, healthy people, and a healthy planet.
It's delicious, and it's a delicious smell too. I guess delicious isn't the right word to use, but I love it.
It's natural.
Natural,
yes.
Right? So 35 years is a long time to be digging in the soil, Bill.
Yes.
What motivates you, and how much has changed since you started?
Well, the regulation has changed dramatically. So I started in the early 90s after spending 10 years in the Marine Corps. I was very entrepreneurial. Finished up my MBA, joined some high school friends. We started the company recycling wood chips. And we were sending the wood chips in the early 90s to the biomass plants in the Central Valley where they burned them and created electricity.
Oh, wow.
So that was our first introduction to recycling. And then along came more legislation. Assembly Bill 32 in 2006 was a climate change bill where they wanted to divert way more organics away from the landfills. And that's important too, because we are facing a landfill scarcity today in the United States. We're filling up our landfills faster than we can create new ones. And you don't really want to create new ones, because by reharvesting this material, you're reducing dependency on mining new minerals, drilling for new oil and gas, because there's a lot of energy in the organic waste stream that we can reharvest. So by getting involved in the early days when I was young, I just had a passion for doing good financially, but doing well all at the same time. Not often do you get an opportunity to create a business where you can do both.
Yeah, that is something special. So what is the future hold for the soil here? I know there's been a lot of legislation, and the Bill 1383 has just recently been placed into the effect. But what do we as friends and neighbors do? What can we do to help?
That's a great question. So helping us would be by making sure you put only organic materials in your grain bin, and consuming some of this material back into your own landscapes and gardens. And I think as you get to use compost, you start to get kind of drunk on it, because then every year you want to feed the soil. This is food for the soil that Mother Nature would do naturally on its own. But what's happened in California in general? We've had major droughts. What's the biggest benefit to treating your soil with this food? Is 30 to 40% reduction in water consumption. Don't rip your grass out, feed the soil, because the grasses help cool the planet, because it consumes carbon out of the atmosphere. So when you put synthetics in, it heats up the earth, because that plastic gets really hot. It doesn't do anything for the environment. The next benefit of treating the soil is water infiltration. I don't think people realize how important that is. So as you use compost on your turf, it softens the soil. So when it rains and the water hits the turf, guess what? It goes into the ground. It replenishes our aquifers. If you don't treat your soil and your grass and your soil is hard as rock, guess what happens? All that water runs into the storm drains and ends up in the ocean. And that's not what we want. So those two things alone are the reason why you'd want to treat your soil with this organic food source. Another huge thing in California is our soils are extremely alkaline. So, you know, if you understand pH at all, we always want to be neutral. Even if you had a pool, you can't fix your pool if you don't neutralize the pH. No matter how much chlorine you put in the water, right? It won't work. Same thing with the soil. If we don't get the soil's pH back to neutral, it doesn't matter how much chemicals you put down. They won't work. The plants won't uptake them. They'll just run off, end up in the water table, end up in the atmosphere. So it's really, you're helping us balance the environment.
And it's not because you don't have a green thumb
It's not.
that your flowers aren't growing. It's because of the pH. It's the acidity, right?
I say you don't need a miracle to grow, you need Agromin.
You need Agromin. Okay, so Agromin is here. It's in Oxnard, Santa Paula. You said Calabasas.
We're all over the state.
Yeah,
the best thing to do is to go to agromin.com and check us out. Believe it or not, we still answer the phone every day. No matter how big we get, there's no automation. There's
How much AI is involved?
There's actually a
composting?
person that answers the phone in my office.
That's great.
That takes those phone calls.
And just Google Agromin or go to agromin.com for more information, learn more about how you can get your fingers dirty in the soil. And you guys do community outreach too. So
We do.
You have field trips going on?
We do field trips, we do farm day, we go out and do a lot of educational programs with the school programs. We work with Food Share. It's all part of the whole social part of giving back that we do. So we appreciate everybody's hard work of recycling and allowing us to reharvest the organic waste stream. But we also need to educate to help consumers learn how to use the product back. Believe it or not, farmers who have been drunk on chemicals for 60 years or more don't even know how to use compost. We're having to train them how to put compost back in agriculture and reduce their chemical dependency. So not only does it save them money, but it actually creates better fruit and vegetables.
Back to basics.
Back to the basics.
Here in the 805 in Ventura County, where you can grow just about anything, only if you have the right soil.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Bill, thanks for being on today.
My pleasure.
One more question.
Yes.
How is life being a Camarillo in Camarillo?
That's a great
I'm sure you
question.
get somebody looking at your ID a lot and going, hey, are you the Camarillo?
Yeah, ever since I was 10 years old. I grew up in Ventura County, grew up in Oxnard. I live in Camarillo. But my entire life, everybody asked me that question, if I was a Camarillo. And my answer is always yes. If you ask me if I'm related to Adolfo, my answer is going to be, I'm not sure. Because there's some pictures in that house. They kind of look like me.
Can you ride a horse?
Well, if I have to.
Bill, thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it. No, thank you for coming.